So accessing for plumbing repairs. So units with a slab on grade, or meaning on concrete or basement into the dirt, versus with a crawl space. And so we talked about photos earlier with it's easy to run your pipes through this crawl space. That's not too hard to visualize. But then we come up through the walls and we can go in the floor, the ceiling, and if this were a bathroom, we would, service that area. Or we can even go all the way up over into the attic, come across and come back down. So there's ways to sneak through a multi-story building that we can sneak our plumbing and drains, typically in what's called a stack. And we'll talk to you about stacks. So it's 303, 203, 103. That stack has plumbing pipes and supply and drain lines in it. Where we have slab on grade or a basement, we have to think a little differently because we would dig down and try to come through the concrete or come all the way to the bottom and then come back out through the slab there. There's, it's just extra things to think about. And so buildings with a crawl space are easier. Buildings with a slab requires a little bit more work. And Jared, from your experience in a 3-story building, is it the first floor units that get hit the hardest, or is it the second?
If there's a crawl space, it's the second floor. If there's not a crawl space, if it's slab on grade, it's usually the first floor.
And so what do you mean by the most work in?
So the most work would be, we've got wall work to do in every unit, but only some units have work done in their ceilings. Gotcha. And we try to we try to minimize the amount of openings that we do in the unit. So when we come into these projects, every building's laid out differently. Their configurations are all different. So we need to get in there. We look at where the plumbing's at, and then we kind of make an assessment and figure out the quickest route with the least impact to unit owners.
Yeah. And I think what you're talking about is here, we looked at a side view of a building. Now we're going to look at a floor plan of a unit. And so we will go through and say, here's your bathrooms, here's your wet walls there. There's another bathroom over here. How do we get over here and there? And so we come up with a detailed plan of blue are the ceiling areas where the ceiling's going to get affected. Yellow are wall areas. So in this unit, we're working in the kitchen around the sink. We will have a ceiling channel going over to here. Then it'll dog leg over to here, dog leg over to there to the bathroom. And then it'll take a corner there, it'll come into the laundry, and it'll go to that bathroom. But that is the activity, plumbing activity or disturbance in that unit. So you can see living room stays, bedrooms pretty much stay. Both bathrooms maybe have the ceiling pulled down, but in these back-to-back bathrooms, typically we can just work on one side of the wall and get to it. Sometimes there's a hallway or a bedroom wall where we can go that direction. Wow. And so it's cheaper going through the drywall of the bedroom than going through the tile of the shower surround.
A lot of times we end up having a closet backed right up against the bathroom in the unit. So right. Ultimately that's the worst part, because everybody has all their stuff in their closet and we're like, oh, hey, you don't have to move all this stuff. But then all of a sudden we ask them to empty their closet out, and it's always like these big closets with everything in them. So that's, sorry.
Yeah, no, that's the truth here. And so this helps every unit owner realize, hey, I gotta pull down the big piece of artwork that's on this wall. If there's any pounding, I don't want it falling down. But this stuff over here, I don't have to touch. And so it's a great relief to people when they can see what's going on. And that's part of our process, to go through every unit and do this. So here's some examples of some wet walls. This would be that wet bar that maybe is in a living room or dining room. But here's a hallway going to probably a living room. So we're working on the hallway side of things. You can see the shower head. Here's the old plumbing pipes. We just left them in place. Don't even worry about taking them out. And looks like laundry facilities right there. And you still have your entry. This is what it looks like after hours. The plastic is put up during the day and then taken down at night. So when you arrive home at 5 o'clock, you might have a little bit of wall to look at, but the rest of your stuff is clean. It's where you left it, and there's not dust all over everything. And so here's an example of that ceiling channel that runs, down through here. We can leave the light fixture in place. That's these ceiling channels I'm talking about. Just a groove to help us get the plumbing pipes in and take care of things.